Hello all. So welcome to my YouTube channel. So as you all know, in the past I've shared many challenging SQL interview questions. But today what I've done here is I've sort of come up with a mini assessment, or you can call it a mini project also. Actually, I was getting a lot of requests from folks around to walk through, sort of a data set, and then let's try to solve some SQL interview level questions based upon that. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, I have taken transactional retail data. So this database name is Worldwide Importers. I've actually taken it from the Microsoft's website. What I'm gonna do is I will be giving the link to that Microsoft website in the video description. You can go to that link and download the database backup for yourself. Okay, and all right. So guys, also one more thing in this ER diagram. For now, I've only kept some few tables which I felt was needed for this video. Maybe in let's say in the next part 2 or part 3, I'll try to bring more tables as well into this ER diagram. And then based upon that, I'll try to come up with some SQL questions as well. But as of now, whatever questions that we will be discussing today, they will be mostly revolving around these tables itself. Alright. So let me now just quickly go to SQL Server instance and show you first how to import a database. And guys, before moving forward, I would request everybody who is watching this video to please subscribe to this channel, because that would really motivate me to bring more and more challenging SQL stuff for you guys, and that would really help you to ace your next SQL interview. And make no mistake, this assessment would actually teach you a lot of things. I will be walking through through all the tables, all the important tables that we are having in this database, and we will also discuss the approach, or how to do the, or how to build a logic actually of any given problem in SQL, right? See, solving a problem is one thing, but until unless your approach is rock solid, it would be very difficult for you to solve any interview question or any question in any SQL interview on the spot, right, or on the fly. So if we want to reach that level, our approach or our logic building approach should be solid, right? Okay, enough of the enough of the talk. Let's get back to the SQL Server. Okay, all right. So anyways, guys, I've already imported this database into my system, but I'll just quickly give you a glimpse. What you can do is you can just do a right click on this databases tab. You can go to this restore database window. Okay, just hold on for a second. I think it's getting loaded. Okay, so you will see this kind of pop-up will come up. Okay, and you can go to this device option and click on these three dots, and based upon that you can choose your backup, and the rest coming steps, the forthcoming steps, they are very simple, and you'll be able to import this database. Because I've already imported it, just one second. Okay, because I've already imported it, it would come something like this into your system, into your SQL Server instance. Okay, just one second. For some reason my PC is weirdly behaving slow. Okay, so this kind of layout will come up into your system, where this worldwide importers database will come, and this database actually has a lot of tables, right? You see application, purchasing, actually all of these are schemas, right? Application, purchasing, sales, then we have warehouse, right? Okay, so what I've done here is I've already got this query where I've taken some record from the sales.invoices table, right? Okay, just one second. All right, so as you can see in this table we have what invoice ID, customer ID, order ID, delivery method, salesperson, invoice date, and blah blah blah. Okay, etc etc. All right, so from this table's output, what we can make out is, see, primarily this table is only containing information of invoice ID, customer ID, order ID, and the invoice date, right? Because as I told you previously, the most of the questions in any SQL interview, or because we have this retail data here and transactional, which is transactional in nature, right? So whenever you go in any SQL interview, you can expect these kind of questions where the interviewer might ask you to, let's say for example, find the most profitable item in the year 2013, right? Or find the most, or find the item that was sold the most in the year 2013. Or maybe they can ask you to find out, let's say, the most profitable customer. Okay, so most profitable customer in, let's say, the year 2013 or 14 or 15. So in those kind of scenarios, this invoice date becomes very crucial, right? Okay, so but also there is one more thing that we have to note here is we don't have any such sale amount data. We don't see any amount column, right, in this table. Okay, so now let me quickly go to this ER diagram. So, okay, so what, see, this database is designed in a way all the transactional data, I mean, this invoices table is primarily, used to get the customer ID, right, and the invoice ID and the invoice date. But all the data, all the item details, that what item was sold as part of this invoice, is actually stored in this invoice lines table. And you can join these tables based on this invoice ID column, right? Similarly, when, if let's say I have to find out a customer details, let's say for example we have a question like we have to find out the customer who purchased the maximum amount of things in the year 2013, or let's say the question is we have to get the customer name. See, in that kind of scenario, we will be using invoices and invoice lines table to first get the total amount, right, of all the customers. Then we can, of that data set, we can find out the customer who actually bought the most amount, and then we can join on that data set to this customer's table based on the customer ID to get the customer name. You see, so that is the reason I actually created this ER diagram, to make things easier and simpler for you to understand, because this diagram would actually allow you to think and to visualize all the tables that I'm talking through or how they're getting joined, right? Okay, let me just go back. And let me now also show you a bit of data from this invoice lines table. Okay, I think I've used some wrong table name. Just one second. Okay, the table is invoice lines. My bad. These are the columns from actually the invoice table, and I did not change the select command. Okay, I can make mistakes, no issues. Just one second. Okay, so here we have got this, you see. So we have this common column invoice ID here. You remember this column was also present in the invoices table, right? Let me just quickly take this up. Okay, so you see we have all the stock item details here as well. We have stock item ID, we have, probably this should be the item name, we have quantity. Yeah, you see, now we have quantity, so that means we have all the unit economics in this table, right? So we have all the details, about the quantity and price that was sold, tax rate was this, amount, profit, extended price, blah blah blah. Okay, guys, there is one more thing to add here. In this database we have already got the profit here as a line profit, but in the forthcoming questions, we will be we will try to derive the profit manually. We will not make use of this column because this would actually make our job easier in any real-time interview. It is highly unlikely it is highly unlikely that you would be getting any pre-calculated profit column, right? So that is highly unlikely. So that is why I'll not be making use of this column directly. We'll try to calculate the profit by our own logic. All right. So this is the invoice lines table, and what else? Let me also show you the customer tables as well. Okay. Okay. Let's go with select top 10 star from sales dot customers. Okay. So what do we have here? Let's wait for a second. Okay. So what we have got here is we have got customer ID, we have got customer name. All right. Okay, so Tailspin Toys, head office, blah blah blah. Okay, we have group ID, delivery city ID, postal city ID, account open date. Okay, all right. Okay, so the idea to show you this table was just to give you a glimpse of how this table looks. What else? Let me just quickly go back to my here diagram. Okay, so we have the stock item holdings and stock items tables as well. So primarily, see, these tables actually in any retail project or in any retail outlet, these actually belong to the inventory side of the things, right? Let me show you just one second. Okay. So here actually they have named it as warehouse, but I use the word inventory. Okay. Let me also show you these tables also once. then start from warehouse dot we have stock items. Let's wait for a second. Okay, the output is there. We have stock item ID, we have stock item name. Okay, so from here, so that means when if we get any question around where we have to find out the stock item name, what we can do is we can actually join. You remember in this invoice lines table, we had a column called stock item ID. That means we can join this invoice lines table with the stock items and then get the stock item name. For example, if you see any question around that, you have to find out the most profitable item name, right? So I'll repeat. So if you have to find out the most profitable item name, again, see whatever transactions that has happened are stored in invoice lines and invoice table, right? So from those tables we can get the amount, and then to get the stock item name, we can join both of these tables based on the stock item ID. You see, you look at this, the year diagram, right? So we can join this invoices table between the stock item ID column and then get the stock item name, right? And also I'll show you the stock item holdings as well. But by looking at the name itself, I think it is quite clear to understand that this table is actually holding the current inventory levels of any given item, right? Okay, let me just quickly run this as well once. Stock item holdings. Okay, so this is what we have got. You see this column again, we have this common column here, stock item ID. That means we have, as of now, what we have seen here is the stock item ID is available in three different tables. We saw that in the invoice lines table, then we saw that in the stock items table, and now when we have run top 10 start from stock item holdings table, we can see that column here as well. Stock item ID, we have quantity on hand, okay, last cost price. Okay, now you see this last cost price, this column looks like to me this is the purchase price of any item by the outlet, right? And the sale price we can get from this invoices lines table. Now you see, so initially I was talking about, I told you, right, that we will be calculating the profit manually. So rather than taking that, using that pre-calculated profit column, we will try to build our own logic. So I think this must be making sense for you now where I'm pointing at, right? So probably we can use this last cost price as our purchase price for any item, and then use that sale price from this invoice lines table, and we can do the deduction between that sale price from this invoice lines table and the last cost price from this table and find out the profit, right? Okay, all right, I think that's all. All right, so let's get started. So actually what I've done here is I've already prepared, as I told you, I have prepared some questions. So for now what I've done here is I've prepared 5 questions actually, and I'll walk you through all of those questions one by one, and then we'll try to see how we can build logic for them. All right, so actually for my own reference, for my own sake, I've already written the queries for that as well, but I'll be again walking you through them. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so let me show you the first question description. All right, okay, so guys, this is our first question description. So the question is, find out sales percentage growth of customers month by month in 2016. Okay, so this is the, I've actually, for your reference, to so that you can understand the things in a better way, I've also added the output screenshot here and you can take a look, right? So what I've done here is, for all the customers, find out sales percentage of growth of customers month by month in the year 2016, right? So that means what we have to do here is, for all the customers who bought something, in the year 2016, we have to show their, their percentage growth. It can be either positive or it can be either negative, right? For example, in this output, as you can see, we have this customer, right, whose name is Tailspin Toys. The sales month, that means January, February, and directly we see this April here. That means this customer did not buy anything in the month of March. Am I right? And similarly, that means he bought from the month from January, February, April, and May. After that, we have got the details for the second customer, who's again Tailspin Toys, but seems like this is some different branch in Silvanite. Okay, and this is their growth. So okay, let's see how we can first approach this question, right? Let me go back to my SQL server. Okay, Okay, now see, in these kind of questions, because they have asked us to find out the sales percentage growth, that means our first and foremost agenda here should be to get the sales amount, right? And because we have to get the percentage growth month by month, that means we have to compare. Am I right? That means we have to compare between the first month, that to the second month, then second month, that to the next month, then this month to this month, to the next month, right? And based upon that, whatever values we get, we have to do the deduction and get the percentage calculation. Am I right? Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Okay, so here what I've done here is, so first guys, I'm gonna walk you through the already written query, and then I'll try to explain it. Okay, so what I've done here is, initially, as I told you, because first I have to get the sales data, right? I'm using sales invoices table, and then using joining with that invoice lines table and joining with invoice ID, right? Again, because I need to get the customer name also, you see I'm joining here with the customer ID column. Am I right? And because in the question it is clearly mentioned that we have to get the data only for the year 2016. Now you remember my point initially I was talking you that I was mentioning about that in the sales.invoice table we had this invoice date column. Now that will become very handy whenever we will get any date specific question. For example, finding the most profitable customer in this year, or finding the finding the most finding the best item that has sold the most amount in so and so year. So that is where this column becomes very handy, guys. Okay, so initially let's first try to execute this query, only the inside part. So here we have got our output. So what we have got here is, we have got the customer IDs, customer names, sales year and sales month also. Okay. Okay. So this is what we have got here, right? I've got the customer ID, I've got customer name, sales year, sales month, and then let me just hover to the right. I've got the monthly sales. Now keep in mind, because in my question I was clearly asked that we have to get out the, or we have to find out the sales percentage growth month by month. That means, guys, now be very careful here. I have to group by, of course I have to group by the month also, right? Because without doing the group by month, I cannot find out the specific sales of that specific month, right? Now you look at my group by description here. This is very, in my opinion, the entire question is revolving, this sort of question is revolving around two things. The first thing is, the first thing that you need to get right here is, first of all, your grouping should be correct here. The columns that you're using in group by to calculate the, first of all, the sales, monthly sales. And then because we have to find out the next month sales also, either you can go with lead option or you can go with lag option, right? Lag function, right? Because we have to get two columns, right, side by side. Then this, for example, this column can be for the current month sales and this column can be for the, let's say, next month sales, right? And so that once we get those two columns with us, and we can do the calculation and we can do the subtraction between them, right? Okay, so let's see how we can do this. All right, so initially I just showed you this query. Now this query is not at all complex, guys. Okay, just again I'll try to explain it. Okay, let me just put the output a bit down and let me make things easier. Okay. Okay, so again I've used the sales invoice table to get the invoice ID. Now also you need to keep in mind, you can also, you might have a question in your mind that why did we actually use the sales invoice table here? Because you see all the data we're getting from this invoice lines, right? Right. Because I needed this invoice date column and this is only available in this sales.invoices table. So that was the reason I had to bring this question, I had to bring this table here into this query. And also we need to keep one more thing in mind, guys. When I'm calculating monthly sales, you see I'm actually doing this calculation quantity into unit price. See, think very logically here. Whenever you go to buy, let's say whenever you go to some retail outlet in your hometown to buy some grocery or something. So whenever, if for example, if you buy any item, let's say in the number of items are twos or threes, right? So total amount is always decided like the quantity. If let's say you have bought 2 kgs of apple, right, and let's say the cost was 50 rupees kg. So your total amount will always be decided like total number of quantities is at 2 kg and unit price is 50. So 2 multiplied by 50, it should be 100. Okay. Anyways, so I'm coming back to the point now. So I've used this sum function here and then calculated the monthly sales. And make no mistake, this group by is very crucial here because I need to keep this month as well in my group by. Okay. Okay, so this was my output, right? I've got the monthly sales. Now, as I told you previously, I need to apply some sort of logic that I can get another monthly sales adjacent to this monthly sales, right? Now, okay, how I can do that, right? So now in this kind of scenario, I've used here lag function, right? Let me just enter it to break the line. Okay, I'll show you. Okay, so what I've done here is I've used the lag function here, lag of monthly sales. Now, make no mistake, partition by this customer ID. That means this partition will actually create sort of a group and then order by sales month. The order by sales month, what that will make sure is that I get these months in order, right? Right, because this is very crucial. I have to get month by month, starting from the first month till the last month of whenever the customer has ordered. Okay, let's see what do we get here first. Okay, let's only for now simply select start from CTE1. Okay, so this is what we have got, right? As I told you, we have got this monthly sales and we have got this previous monthly sales here. Now make no mistake, see, for this customer, the sales month was 1. So for the first month, we have got the same sale, right? Because I've used the collage function here. Otherwise, this will give me null, right? Because there is no preceding month than the first month, right? So I've used collage function here so that whenever there will be null, it will give me the same value as monthly sales. Okay, and for the next month, the total sale for the month of February in the year 2016 for this specific customer was, let's say, 4618 rupees or dollars, and the previous month sales was this. You see, so lag function has worked perfectly fine. And similarly, coming to this, fourth month, the sale was this 1445, and this was my previous month sale, right? Okay, so that means most of our job here is done. Now we just have to do the subtraction to get the just the percentage, right? Now I think it's very easy from here. Now I've already written the logic here, so we just have to subtract this previous month sales from monthly sales and then divide it by previous month sales. And you see, I've ordered it by customer ID sales month because to get this output in this format, in the ordered format. Okay, let's try to execute the entire query now, guys. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is what we have got in the output, right? We have got customer ID, customer name, sales year, sales month, right, and monthly sales. Okay, I think I've got all the unnecessary columns also in my output. Let me just remove that and let me give some areas here also. Let's give customer ID. Let's get customer name also, sales year, and let's get sales month also. Am I right? And let's get the final calculation. Let's give it an area as, let's say, sales growth percentage. Sales growth. Okay. Okay, so we have got our output, right? Okay, you see, so the first month our sales growth is 0. The second month the growth has actually gone down by 5%. Then it has gone drastically down by 70%, and then it has increased by 50%. So this was only for this specific customer, customer ID 1. And then subsequently we have all the details of similar customers. So we have around 3000 rows here. That means we are dealing with multiple customers in the year of 2016, right? So I hope this made sense for the first question. So now, okay, I think this is done, guys. If there are any questions, you can always leave me, all the questions in the comments, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. I'll be always ready to help you guys. Okay, and let's go to the second question now. Okay, so guys, let's walk through to our second question. Okay, let me show you the question statement. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, so let me walk you through to our second question, right? Okay, so this is our second question. Now identify the top 5 most valuable customers to focus on marketing campaigns. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, this is the output screenshot where we have got the customer IDs and their sales amount. So, but the catch here is that we have to find out the top 5 most valuable. So that means the question here is, it's see, getting the top 5 customers, it's not a difficult job. The logic that we have to decide here is, our approach first of all should be towards finding out the sales amount, right? Again, it's very similar to the previous question. As I told you that throughout this video, throughout this assessment, uh, we will be primarily making use of invoices table, because invoices and invoice lines table, because all the transactional data is actually placed in those tables, and all the subsequent tables that we have, that we can just do for joins to get, for example, let's say the stock item name or customer name, etc. Okay, so let's head over to SQL Server once again. So again, I would like to repeat here. So the question here is, we have to find out the top 5 most valuable customers based on the sales amount. And the, I mean, okay, so the question here is to, first of all, that we have to get the sales amount, right? Let me just quickly go back to SQL Server. Okay, so because as usual, I've already, got the query here that I wrote for my own reference. Again, I'm joining, see, this question is pretty straightforward, right? We are joining with sales invoice lines, into sales invoices, and then joining this with the customer tables. Again, the reason I have got this sales invoice join here, let me format it. Okay, the reason I've got this sales invoices join here is because the customer ID is present in this table. It's not present in the invoice lines table, right? Let me show you. Okay, I ran select top 10 start from sales.invoice lines, and we don't have customer ID here. Okay, so that's why I used sales.invoice table here, and then did a simple group by of sum of the total sales, and again the sum, again the total, price I'm calculating as quantity into unit price, then doing the order by with descending and using top 5. So I think this is the first way, or there can be another way also to do this, where we can go with a CTE, or we can probably go with some rank or dense rank also. Let me show you that also. Let's say an alternative solution for this could be, let's copy our joins first. Okay, let's paste our joins. So we have got the joins here. Now, because I told you that first of all I have to group by customer ID here, right? And get c dot customer ID get c dot customer ID here, and get the sum of quantity into unit price. Let's take it as sales amount. Let's alias it as sales amount. Okay, okay, I've done some mistake here. Let me see. Okay, the mistake was a typo actually, so I added an additional bracket here in the sum function. Okay, so let's try to execute this and see what we get. So we have got the sales amount for all the customers. Now, so it is pretty simple, right? We can just simply order by customer, we can order by sales amount and use the top 5 here, right? So if you are not comfortable with doing with this way, we can also go with this row number function here and use a CTE. Okay, so as I told you that we can probably go with some CTE function, some CTE condition here, and I think the bracket is already there for the CTE, right? Okay, and I'll also need to add row number logic here. So let's get the sum first. Let's copy the sum logic. Okay, and let's get the row number as well. So this question is, guys, this question is pretty straightforward, but still you can expect these kind of questions where you can use, I mean, for example, you can get some deleting duplicates. So in that kind of question also, again, people usually go for the CT and get row number of all the columns and then delete, right? Okay, a row number over, and we're gonna do an order by, again, by the sales amount here. Go with descending. Let's give it a row number and see first what we get here. Okay. Okay. So we got here. I mean, all these customers, these are their sales numbers, and let's alias it as sales amount again, and give select start from CTE where row number is less than equal to 5. Okay, and done. Okay, so this was my second question, guys. I would say this was pretty straightforward. Okay, the reason I added this, I mean, the reason I included this into our video today, because I still know that even though this question is pretty straightforward, but it still usually gets asked around. Okay, no, okay. So let's move to this third question now. Just one second. Okay, so our third question is, okay, so we have to find out the customers who ordered in the Q1 of 2016 but did not order again in 2016. So that means, I mean, in simple and layman terms, the question is asking us to find out that customer or those customers who ordered anything in the, let's say, the first 3 months of 2016, let's say Jan, Feb, March, but they did not come again to buy anything in the rest of the months in 2016. That means from April till December. Okay, I hope the question is clear. I'll repeat the question once again. We have to find out that customer or those customers who ordered some product in the first 3 months or first quarter of 2016, that is Jan, Feb and March, and after then they did not order anything again in the, I mean, following months in 2016 from April till December. Okay, so that's the question. I mean, I have already given the output here. That is, I mean, you should see this customer ID 905 in your output. Okay, let's go to the solution. My question 3. Okay. Okay. Actually, I already wrote 2 alternate solutions for this, and let's do something. Okay. Again, see. Let's try to first figure out which tables we will be using here. Okay. First of all, that means, see, because we are dealing with customer, that means we need to get customer ID, right? This is customer ID, guys, 905. So that means we have to get the customer details from, I mean, we'll be using customer table, right, somewhere in our query. Simple. And then because we are also talking about the year here, that means you remember in the initial of this video, we talked about the invoice date column, which was present in which table? Which was present in this invoices table, right? That means we have to join this invoices tables with customer tables, and we have to apply the filter for date on the invoice date column into from this column, from this table, and then join with that with the customer tables to get the customer IDs of those people who ordered in the first 3 months of the of the year 2016. Am I right? Okay, so this was our question. Now let's see the query. Now we have already discussed the approach, so this is our query. So let's for now forget about this left join. I'll come later onto this part. Let's only focus on this part. Let me turn off the IntelliSense. Okay, right. So let's only focus on this part first. So what I've done here is, as I told you, see, I've joined this again, like the table sales.invoices with customer tables on customer ID and applied the filters for year and month. Because you remember, first what I'm doing here is I'm finding out all those customers who ordered in the first 3 months of 2016. See, the approach here is quite simple, guys. First, we will try to find out those people who ordered, all the customers who, all the customer IDs who ordered in the first 3 months of 2016. Then, on the second hand, what we're gonna do is we will find out all the people who ordered in the in the months from April till December in the year of 2016. So once we once we get these two data sets with us, what we're gonna do is we will actually do either some sort of left join to get the mismatching records, right? So in the left side, let's say we got some 10 customers who ordered in the first 3 months, and let's say in the right side, let's say we got some 20 customers who ordered in the rest of the months. Now we have to do some sort of query or logic in between these two data sets so that we only get the mismatching records. Am I right? So mismatching records would actually give you that output. Those people who ordered, let's say in this part in the first 3 months, but did not order in the rest of the months, right? Okay. So that's why I used left join here. So first let's try to execute this query. Okay, I think there is some invalid syntax issue. Okay, so that means, guys, these are all the around 660 customers we have got who ordered in these 3 months. Then what I'm doing here is I'm taking all the customers. You see this filter here now. See, initially first I applied the filter here between the months invoice date between 01 and 03, and now I'm applying the filter here month invoice date between 04 and 12 to only find out those people who ordered in the rest of the year of 2016, right? Okay, let's execute this query. Okay, so now we have got 662 folks here who have ordered, right? And now to find out those people, see, think like this. We have got one data set from this query and we have got another data set from this query. Now we just have to find out the mismatched records. That means we have to find out the people, those IDs who are present here but not here. Am I making sense? We have to find out those IDs who are present here but not in the below query, because the below dataset belongs to the rest of the months other than the quarter first of 2016, right? Okay, so what I've done here is simply I've just applied a left join. I've used two subqueries and then joined them on customer IDs. Please excuse me for the naming conventions. I think I could have used better names here, but it's all right. Okay, so and then applying this where condition here to only find out that person who is not available here. Am I right? Who is not available here but is available here. Okay, simple. So we should get the 905 customer ID in our output, you see. And there is, okay, so this is the first solution. So there is another solution for this. So rather than using this left join and on condition, guys, don't you think we can directly use except here, right? What except does is, see, in simple terms, in simple and layman language, what except does is, it will give you it will give you all those records which are present here but not here. That is how I understand it always. I've always understood it in such a simpler way, that I'll get all those records which are present here but not here. Okay, you see, I think I've already put the query here. So now you see, let me just press enter and break this query for you. Okay, now you see that there is no, I have not added any left join or any on conditions. Directly I'm using except, and that will give me the same output. But keep in mind, in my opinion, I think a left join would work faster than except, because except will have to check all the rows, all the 660 rows from the above dataset and then all the 662 records from the below dataset. And also except would take some time because it also has to go through that distinct operation. I hope you guys are aware that except, just like union, always gives distinct records. It does not give duplicates, whereas that is not the case with joins. So that is why except would always be kind of on the slower side if compared to a join. Okay, so as I told you, except would take some more time than the, normal left join. So, but we get the same output. I hope you get the idea of this. Okay, so let's go to our next question. So the next question is that we need to find out the most profitable item for each year. Okay. So, anyways, guys, so this is my favorite question of this entire video. I'll show you why. So you look at the output. So we have to we are not supposed to get the, let's say, the maximum amount of sales, for the each year, but rather the question here is that we have to get out the most profitable item for each year, and we have to make sure that we get the output in this format. Okay. So this is actually what we have done here is we have got all the records in one single row here, right? So let's see how we can do this. Let me go to my question 4. Okay, so I have already got the solution for this. So because I was not able to show you the exact output on that on this diagram because of the lack of space here, but I've already executed the query to show you the output first. You see, category is highest selling items year wise, then 2013, 14, 15, 16, and the coincidence is that the same item has been sold, most in all these years. That's why you see the item is same actually. This 20 millimeter double-sided bubble wrap, 50 meter, whatever it is, right? So the item is same. Anyways, to us it doesn't matter whether the item is same or different. Now we have to come up with a logic for this, where we have to get out the most profitable item. Right now, here comes the tricky part. I told you that in for some weird reason in this data set, we have already got the profit as a pre-calculated column. But in any real-time scenario or any SQL interview, while on the fly, it is very unlikely that you will get any pre-calculated profit sort of column. In most of the cases, the interviewer would always ask you to, they would give you, let's say, unit price or quantity and all these kind of stuff, and they will ask you to then calculate the profit per item. You have to do all the deduction between the sale price and the purchase price. Okay. Anyway, so let's get back to this question. Okay. So here, first let's try to see what kind of tables we might use for this, right? So here, this is item name, right? Now let's go back to our year diagram to refresh our memory, right? See, item name, either we can try to get from these tables, you see, stock item holdings and stock items, or I'm not sure. I don't think that we have, I think, item name in invoices. I think in the invoices table we had item descriptions, as far as my memory, if my memory is right. So I think we have to use this stock items or stock item holdings table, that we will decide at a later point. And let's go back to question once again. Okay, and because we have year here also, that means by default, now I think you guys would be pretty much aware about it, we have to use invoices table as well, because we need to get this invoice date. We will probably extract the year from the invoice date. And now, because they're asking to get us the most profitable item, again, profit is always guys, it's sales minus purchase, right? Now, because you know that all the sales amount has been stored in the invoice lines table, that means now that is clear that we will be using invoices to get the invoice date, so that we can extract the year from this table. Then we will be joining that with this invoice lines table to get out the sale, to get the sales per item per year. Am I right? And then we probably would be joining that stock item ID that we will be getting from these tables to one of these tables that I will have to check. Okay, so I think we are solid on our approach now. That means first what we need to do here is we need to first get all those, we need to first get all the items, right? And then get profits for them, right? And then take the most profitable item for each year, right? So that means probably we can use something like, let's say, rank or dense rank. So the first part here should be to calculate, use invoice lines table, join with invoices table, group by year probably, and then group by this item also, stock item ID. I think we can group by stock item ID and year. I think stock item ID should not be there. We just have to group by the year probably. I will have to check. I think I can make mistakes, no issues. Okay, once we get that sales item, then we will have to get out the profit. So you remember at the initial of this video, I told you about a column called last cost price, right? We have to treat that column as our purchase price, and then subtract the sales amount minus purchase amount to calculate profit. Once we do that, then we will have to write our query in such a way that we can convert our records that will probably come in the column wise to this row level output, right? Okay, so now let's head to our query. Okay, so do not get scared or do not get confused or feel overwhelmed by looking at this query. It's pretty straightforward. If you know the concept, if your approach is solid, you will not face any issues into this question. Okay, so as I told you, I think we will be using sales invoice lines table, of course, to get out this quantity into unit price. Now this is my sales price, guys. Am I right? Then joining with sales.invoices table because I will need this here, as I told you, right? Yeah. And here you see I'm also grouping my stock item name because I need to get the profit per item per year, right? Am I right? And then we will find out that which item gave us the most profit in that year, right? Okay, let's first try to see what I'm doing here is I group by year. As I told you, I'll be grouping by year and stock item name, right? Then I'm inner joining sales invoice lines with this stock item holdings table based on stock item ID, because you remember I need that stock item name also. You see I'm getting this here from here, right? And then inner joining with this stock items table. Okay, let's try to execute this and see what we get. Okay, see, this is what we have got. We have got the invoice here, we have got the stock item name, profit per item. Now keep a note, you see this last cost price I've actually got from this table, which SI. SI is my stock item holdings table. Now that was the reason I had to bring this table also here into the mix. Otherwise, let's say if we did not had any requirement to to use this last cost price column, I would have never really used used the stock item holdings tables, because to get the stock item name I would have easily just used this inner join, right? But because I need to get my hands onto this last cost price column, I have applied this inner join here, right? Okay, so and also to calculate the profit, as I told you initially, because I mentioned that we will try to build around logic. What I've done here is I am using quantity into unit price. This is my sales amount, and then quantity into last cost price. That means this would be my probably the purchase price. Then and taking sum of this, first subtracting them, right, and then taking sum of them. So this will give me profit per item, something like this. I hope you guys are not getting confused by this. I've actually tried to save. I've actually tried to save my work here. So rather than using multiple CTEs, to first get this column and then this column, then do the subtraction and then the sum to get the profit. So rather than doing that into, let's say, 2 or 3 multiple CTEs, I've tried to save our time and done all the calculations in the CTE itself, where I'm getting this profit per item. Simple, right? So once we get that, now as I told you, we need to get some sort of ranking here, right? So we'll use some rank where we go with probably we'll do a partition by invoice here and order by this profit per item. Am I right? Because we need to get the most profitable item, correct? You see? Okay, let me execute this query once. Okay, let's wait for a second. Okay, so now you see, because I use this function here, I use rank here and I ordered by the profit per item, right? And then from my CD1 I'm taking row number is equal to 1. So that, sorry, excuse me. So that means now we have got those items per year that has given us the most profit, right? You can validate by looking at this row number as 1 for all of these 4 years, correct? Okay, now the next part here is we have to convert this column column output, right? So we have got multiple columns here, right, into one single row, correct? So now I think this is quite clear. Now we will have to use the pivot function here, right? I hope you guys are aware about pivot. So guys, there is a specific syntax about That's how the pivot is been formed. So what I'm doing here is I inserted this data into a temp table first. Okay, let me run that query. Let me insert our output. Okay, I think the table is already there because I ran this query previously. That's why the table was created. So let's start from hash temp. Okay, so this is what we have got, and now we have to pivot it. So I have already, done all the, I have actually done all the hard work. Got the query here. I wrote all these queries previously so that I could explain these queries to you line by line. Okay, so guys, make a note. Now pivot is a pivot is a very, I would not say it's something very complex, but you will need some practice beforehand to nail it in any SQL interview. And make no mistake about this, in any, let's say, level 2 kind of interviews, you can probably expect any one single pivot question in your interview, because pivot actually tests your understanding. You have to visualize, right, that if you're getting data into, let's say, some four different rows and multiple columns, and you have to append it, or you have to write it, or you have to write a query in such a way that you convert your multiple rows into one single row, right? So pivot is usually, is asked throughout SQL interviews in most of the companies that I have faced, and even the interviews that I have given in my career, I have usually faced, a pivot question in, I would say, around 80% of my SQL interviews, right? So that means this becomes a very important concept if you are going for any SQL interview. Okay, let's comment this out and let's execute this, and then I'll explain you the syntax of this. I'll tell you what I did and how I did. Okay, so we got this temp table here, right? And now I need to get these columns, all these four values here one by one, something like this in my output, right? The item name for 2013, the item name for 2015, 14, then 2015, then 2016, right? Okay, so the syntax, guys, what follows here is, whenever we are using whatever columns you want in your output, guys, for now just forget about this, just forget about this line, only focus on this part. So there are usually two parts to a pivot, right? So whatever columns you want in your output, you first take that in the first part. So because I need stock item name, right? Because I need this stock item name here and the stock and this year, right? So I've got these columns here in my query, in my above query, the first part of the pivot. Then here comes the pivot part. Guys, this is the syntax of a pivot. Just one second. Okay, so this is the syntax of pivot. Now we always have to use these square brackets because I need these years, right? 2013, 14, 15, 16. Now make no mistake about this. Look at the syntax, max of stock item name. Now you guys might find it weird, but in the second part of weird, the syntax is made as such that you always have to use some aggregation function. It can be max or it can be min or anything else, but probably because I need these item names here, so I have to go with max. If I go with some count or something, I'll show you that scenario also. I'll show you, but for now, max of stock item name, this stock item name for invoice year in these years, right? And then I'm using these highest selling items as category. What if I do not give this? Let's see first what we get. So I've simply got this, right? 2013, 2014. This first column is not present because I was aliasing it. Highest selling items as category. Okay, I hope you understood what I meant to say. And now I'll show you one more thing here. Just one sec. Okay, now what if I remove these values from here? Let's say I only keep 2013 and 14. So what do you think will happen, guys, here? What do you think? Can you guess? We'll only be getting data for 2013 and 14 in our output. My bad, just one sec. Okay, I think I did not include star here. That's why I got this. I only got this category column and forgot to keep star here. Okay, let's remove these two years and see what are we getting here. You see, we are only getting 2013 and 14 data. I think you guys, I think this should be clear by now. So whatever data, or I mean whatever columns we want in our final pivot, right? We need to make sure that we are passing those columns in square brackets here. If I only give 2013, I'll only get the data for 2013 here in my final pivot, right? Okay, let's bring back all the columns, and let me come to one more scenario here, guys. I told you that we have to use some aggregation function here in the second part of the pivot. What if I give count here, guys? What do you think will happen then? Let's try to figure out. I mean, I'm not sure, but let's see. You see, now it is counting that item name from temp table, right? So this was my temp table, right? And we only got one single item for each year, right? Now what it's gonna doing is it's kind of grouping by this invoice here and getting me this count name, getting me the count of stock items, because coincidentally that is one, and we are getting that in the output. And let me tell you one more thing. If I use min here, let's say, you know, min will give me the same expected output as item name. You'll see, you see, because see, max and min actually does not make any sense here, but because for the sake of syntax we have to use any aggregation function here. Either if I'll go with max, so what it will do is it will group by this kind of do a grouping by invoice year and take a max of stock item name. Because I only have one single stock item, it will always give me the same stock item name. Either I go with a max or either I go with a min. Now let's try to go with average here. I'm not sure whether this will work, or this might throw error also, because it's kind of highly unlikely that it will calculate the average of a string column. I don't think so. Okay, yeah, you see, so we have got error for average because this was a string data, right? This is all, one second. Okay, so this is all varchar data. Now it will, of course, it will fail to calculate average for this, right? Okay. Okay, so guys, I hope I'm clear on this question. All right. So I think it's time for us to move on to the our last and final question for this video. Thank you so much if you have stayed until here. I understand I might be a bit boring, but thank you so much if you have stayed till here. So the last question is quite easy. So we have to find out the hired date of the best salesperson. Again, I will not dwell much on this. I need to get person ID. Even I have to check what table I used at the time of writing the query, and hire date. Okay, let's figure out. But again, because we have to get the best salesperson, that means again we will have to invoke our either the invoices table or invoice lines table to get out the, I mean, to get the sum of the amount sold, I mean sold by any specific salesperson. And then we have to get the best salesperson probably by some row or rank number, right? Anything is fine. And then we have to join that person ID with some table I have to see to get their hire date. Okay, let's go to our query. Okay, I think the logic is quite simple. Okay, so what I've done here is okay, so we have JSON value here. Okay, that's a new thing. I think some of you might not be aware about how to parse a JSON in SQL Server. Okay, so that was the reason I actually, I created this question here for this, because I mean, I don't think so that this might get asked I mean, JSON parsing will get asked in any SQL interview, but I still went ahead with this question because I wanted to show you. Even if, let's say, you are not asked this kind of JSON parsing question in any of the interviews, but you still might expect this kind of work in your day-to-day SQL tables or SQL databases, where let's say you're getting some data in some JSON format and you're ingesting it as it is in the same format, but you have to derive some column from that, or you have to derive any specific value from that JSON column. So that is where these kind of questions, I mean, these kind of functions become very handy, guys. Okay, so let's see first we are doing here. Again, as usual, I told you will be using this sum of quantity and unit price to get out the total sales amount. So I'm joining with, okay, so application people is that table here where we can get the hire date of the person. Okay, first let me show you the data. Okay, so this is what we have got. We have got person ID full name, preferred name, search name. Okay, I think this is some dummy name. Kayla Woodcock, and their email ID, their password, is employee, salesperson, preferences. Okay, blah blah. And so this is where, guys, in this custom fields column, I'll show you. Just bear with me. In this custom fields column, guys, we should see hire date. You see, here it is. So that means this is the JSON that we have to target to get the hire date for the best salesperson. I hope I'm clear, right? Okay. So that means I have to join this person ID to some table, right? To get out, first we have to get out the, we have to find the maximum of sales done by any specific person, group by person ID probably, in my opinion. Yeah, you see, group by person ID, and I'm also grouping by the hire date. Let's see. The reason I'm grouping by hire date is because I want this hire date actually. That's all. So there can be multiple ways to do this question. Either I can first only, either I can just simply get the person ID from this old query here and then join that person ID again for this application.people table based upon this column, and then get this JSON parsing. Let's see, let's try to do that also. But first, let's try to execute our existing query. Then we'll go with the another solution as well. Okay. Okay. So what I've done here is first, I have joined application people with sales invoices table. Okay, so this is the column, guys, in invoices table. You see, salesperson person ID, right? So that means if I have to find out that which person sold the maximum amount of goods in our outlet, I have to go with sales invoice table because the salesperson ID column is there. Then the reason I have to invoke sales.invoice lines table is because, again, very simple, this quantity and unit price details are stored in invoice lines. So that means I have to join that table as well with invoice ID, right? I have to bring both of these tables into play here because of the fact that salesperson ID is available in this column and the unit sales items are available in invoice lines table. Then I'm grouping by person ID, right? And again, as usual, I'm taking sum of the quantity unit price. So just again to save our time and the number of lines in this code, I've invoked the rank function here also directly. So let's do one thing. First only select from the sales CTE. Let's see what we get first. Okay, you see we have got all these details. So we have got the row number based upon the total amount these guys have sold, and then because I've used this function here, JSON value, custom fields, hire date. Okay, I'll show you. Just one second. So let me once again copy this custom fields column here that I showed you previously. I think okay, here it is. So guys, this is a function in SQL Server called JSON value. I'll show you. Now this JSON value would expect the input column name, which in our scenario is custom fields. Then because I need to get this hire date column, right? So I have to use a syntax something like this: $.hire date. This is key, right? This is a JSON and this is the key. So this $.hire date would actually get me this value here, the value of hire date. Okay, I hope I'm clear. So this was the main reason of getting this question here, because I wanted to show you guys how to, just some initial impression of how we can play around with JSON values also in SQL Server. Okay, now, so I have got another solution for this question in my mind. So rather than joining, this or grouping by JSON value directly here, we can do one more thing in my opinion. Let's try to experiment. Okay, we'll see what happens. There is no harm in doing any experiment, right? Let's try to see. Okay, let's first remove this JSON value here. What I'm thinking is, let's only get the person ID first who has sold the most amount, and let's break this down also into multiple queries. I don't need this JSON value for now, and let's also remove this application people also. I don't need this for now, right? Let's remove this salesperson ID. I don't want that. Let's only keep sales invoices, and let's get the one sec. Let's get this salesperson ID from here. right? Let's see. So let's remove this inner join and give from. Just give me 1 second, guys. Let me. Okay. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. And also for a movement, let's also remove this rank here. Okay. So let's also remove this rank from here. Just give me 1 sec. Okay. So let's remove the rank from here, and let's only take this sum, remove all this stuff also, and let's make our life easy. Okay, I've got some incorrect syntax, just 1 second. Okay, so I think the issue in our query is with this bracket. I think there is an additional bracket here. Let's remove this. Okay, and now this should work, right? Okay, let's first try to execute this. Okay, so that means now we have got the total sales done by all the salespersons, right? We have got 10 rows here, and I've grouped by salesperson ID and taken the sum of quantity into unit price, right? Let's alias it as sales amount. Okay, so now the next part is we have to find out the best salesperson, right? Let's take one more CT. For that, let's take CT1. Now guys, I'm just doing it in a simpler way. From CTE, now let's apply rank here, or let's go with a row number over order by inner output. We got this value as, and now I have aliased it as, I think, sales amount. All right, now order, let's close it, order by the sales amount and descending, right? Let's give it as alias it as, let's say, RN, row number. Okay, close the bracket here and go with, let's start from CD1, sorry. Okay, so invalid. Okay, it was sales CT actually. Let's give it sales CT here. So we have got, so that means this person anyways is our best salesperson, whose ID is salesperson ID 16, right? Apply a filter here where row number is equal to 1. And now, because in my output I want to get the hire date. Now hire date is placed in which application.people table. Okay, so let's apply the where row number is equal to 1 filter here, and let's see what we get. We should be anyways getting that best salesperson as 16, and again let's wait for the query to finish. Okay, so we have got this person. Now I want to get this person's hire date that is present in the application.people table. Okay, let's do an inner join application.people, right? Alias it as p on p.person id and is equal to ct1 dot salesperson id. Am I right? Okay, now let's execute this query first. And remember, we have to parse the JSON value as well, because the hire date is not present in a simple column. So this is the person, right? We've got all their columns, and this is my target column, custom fields. Okay, let's use it. Okay, so again let me go back to my output. I need person ID, and JSON value custom fields here dollar dot I need hire date. Okay, I think so we have got our output, right? So so the person died on 13th of May 2009, right? Okay. I think that's all from my side, guys. If there are any feedbacks for me, I would be really glad to hear that. You can always let me know in comments on, or you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, right? If there is anything else that you think I might have done better here, I would be really happy to look at that and let's say bring out anything much better than this in the next video. So again, I would I would request everybody to like and subscribe and to comment on this video, watch this video. If there's anything you need help or you need any you have any issues, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. And also I will be giving all these query solutions as a link in the video descriptions. You can go that. Also, I will be attaching this PDF also in this video description, and you can take a look. So I think that's all from my side, guys. Thank you so much, and have a nice day. Bye.